finding a problem in your niche and solving it for, hundreds, thousands, hundreds of thousands, or maybe even millions of people. So that's what we're trying to do. In real estate is where we're going to start. So you said, frig this, I'm going to go make my own social media. I don't think he actually made it. I think it's two other guys, their idea.
Half the population hates him, half the population loves him, but 100% of the population is talking about him, and that's what makes it so fascinating. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Refined Real Estate Podcast. I'm Ian, joined by my host Manny. We are real estate investors in Halifax, Nova Scotia that have expanded our investing all the way across North America. We currently have 100 units in Cleveland, Ohio, and as many of you that have tuned in before are aware of, we have another 97 unit building under contract. We're going to get into some general updates on what's going on with that. We've got some recent news to share with you guys, or to share our takes on in the Trump trial. And then we're going to dive into another little side hustle or focus that Manny and I have embarked on, and that is in the world of tech startups. So before we get into all of that, please like, subscribe, share this podcast. We're just continuing to grow our community. We want to help people that are interested in real estate as well in business and all things that we find interesting. So again, please like, subscribe. Outside of that, those in Nova Scotia, if you're looking to buy or sell or pretty much anything real estate related, you guys can give me a call, give me a text, anything. I'm a licensed mortgage broker, realtor with Press Realty, and I love this stuff, in case you guys can't tell. So with that being said, we're going to jump into it. So Manny, some big news coming out south of the border. Now, again, most Canadians might not care about this as much, even though it is interesting stuff. For us, it could directly affect some of our business dealings. So wanted to get your take on the Donald Trump sentencing.
Man, I don't know if you guys remember, but during COVID, so like 2020, Trump was being impeached, and I paid like an extra subscription to get access to CNN so I could follow it all. I was just so enthralled by it. It was like a drama, like a TV show. And then Biden became president, and then there hasn't been any drama. There hasn't been anything cool in the political world in America over the past few years. Obviously, there's wars and there's bad stuff happening around the world, but I just mean like directly with the president. So it's been like a nice little change of pace here over the past little bit, with Trump getting in trouble with all these things. It takes me back there. But yeah, Trump. So if any listeners didn't see, he got convicted guilty for all 34 charges of, was it tampering with money? What is it? What did he do? What was it exactly? And something to do
document.
Yeah.
Document tampering.
Document tampering with that lady Stormy Daniels. They had some sort of interaction, and he paid her off, all that stuff. So he got in trouble for that. Found guilty, all 34 charges. First president to ever be convicted guilty of these charges. And this is, by the way, side note, this is not the only thing he has going on. Like, he's being convicted and being charged for like a few other things. So he could have a few more of these kind of racking up over the next few months. But anyways, we were just reading an article, Ian and I, about just like the intricacies of what could happen here now that he's been found guilty. And there is a chance that he could go to prison. But if our listeners didn't know, ex-presidents get lifetime protection from the Secret Service once they finish their term, whether before or 8 years. So Trump has lifetime protection from Secret Service people. Can you imagine him going to prison and just having round the clock security just to protect him and keep an eye on him? How much of a waste of money this would be? It's just it's laughable, So it's, in my opinion, I have no idea what could happen, but the chances of him actually going to prison are as slim to none as there possibly is. I think I even read an article that said the judge does not want him to go to jail. Like, it doesn't make sense for what he did, especially like there's a chance he might not go to jail. Like, so if he wasn't the president of the United States in the past and he was like a regular dude that did this crime, there's a good chance he wouldn't even go to jail. So fines, probation. I'm sure they'll do all of that, but it's just I don't know. It's I find it so funny. This is happening, and then while he's currently, there's a good chance he might become the president again. You know, it's crazy, man. What do you think about all of it?
Yeah, so just to lay a little bit more context. So for the crimes that he's been found guilty of, the maximum sentence that he could potentially serve is 4 years. But just again, reading into this a little bit more, because it's his first offense of white collar crime, in there's no precedence of any case that would send him to actually have to spend any time in jail. But because it's Donald Trump, you just never know. Like obviously they're going to make it as big of a show as possible, and it's going to be interesting. I'll definitely be tuned in on all that. Yeah, I really don't see anything happening. You'll definitely see some fines. The key date to focus on is July 11th. That's when sentencing is set to come out. So yeah, I will be eagerly awaiting for the next month and a half or so to see how that goes. But truly think that he'll be hit with some fines. He will not pay said fines, and then he will run for president again. I think there's a high likelihood that he could find himself president again, in which case he will then pardon himself of any of the wrongdoing. So I think we're in for a bit of a show there, but yeah, it's certainly interesting to see.
It is, you know, and some people ask me sometimes like do I like Trump? Do I dislike Trump? And it's like I don't know the guy. I don't know him personally. He's done some things that I don't agree with, obviously. And he the thing is the guy what I will say what I do like about him, he's pretty straightforward with what he does. Like the guy doesn't, you know, mess around. Like he's pretty straightforward. And just we're talking from a strictly a business and real estate standpoint. The guy will decrease taxes for real estate investors. He'll implement things that will make investors' lives much easier because he himself is a real estate investor. So for that purpose alone, it's like okay, me and Ian are about to own 200 units in the United States, and I'm sure that number is only going to go up. So if we and that's my only connection with USA. I have no other connection there. So it's like if my one connection to USA is real estate, and there's someone that's running for president that's going to make my investment much more lucrative, you know, that's pretty nice. You know, the trade off is all the other bad stuff that he does, but it's like, I mean, I don't know. All presidents have their pros and the cons. It's just really kind of weighing them out and just voting what's best for you. I don't, I don't vilify anyone that likes him. I don't vilify anyone that dislikes him. We all have our opinions of him. I try to stay quite neutral on all world leaders, even Trudeau. People hate Trudeau. People talk so negatively about him, and you know I understand why. But it's like I like to stay neutral. Like if he came up with something tomorrow that was very beneficial to the Canadians, I'd be so happy. I'm like, you know, I don't want him, like, I don't wish for his downfall. You know, I would like for whoever the leaders are to just do their jobs well. Um, Whether it be Trump, Trudeau, whoever wins. But yeah, anyway, that's just a tangent, but it's just like, I don't know. He's such a polarizing figure, Trump. Probably the most polarizing figure in the world. Like, who can be more polar? Because like half of America loves him. They will die for him. Like they would probably take bullets for this guy, and then the other half think he's, you know, did the devil. Did the exact same thing. It's like who I can't. So it's pretty interesting to see, just you know how polarizing he is, and I don't know. I just think it's a fascinating dude, man. Just how he taps into people's emotions so differently. Like me, I'm so neutral. I don't really. I just find him amusing, to be honest with you. And obviously the other political things that he can kind of do for us in the real estate world. It's an interesting man. It's an interesting man.
100%. Yeah. So it's, yeah, half the population hates him, half the population loves him, but 100% of the population is talking about him. And that's what makes it so fascinating. So when, yeah, to go back to what's at hand right now, it's like, yeah, it's all under a microscope, and it's very much so a huge talking point. I saw one funny stat that was since his since the ruling. He's had small donations to his political party. So no large amounts, but just from everyday people that have totaled over $43 million. So it's just funny that again, good or bad, he's gonna make waves. So yeah, no, so pretty interesting stuff there. And you were saying that he also he's part of a bit of a tech startup right now.
Yeah, man, it's called like Trump Media and Technology Group. I just looked it up quickly to kind of verify what I heard the other like a week or so ago. But it's a public company and they IPO'd. It's worth nearly $11 billion, and Trump owns a vast majority of that. So I just found it hilarious that he received donations of 43 million, while this guy just IPO'd a company that's worth $11 billion. And this Truth app, it's like his version of Twitter. I'm sure you got anyone that's listening knows like Trump got kicked out of Twitter because of whatever reasons. But so he said, "Frig this, I'm gonna go make my own social media." I don't think he actually made. I think it's two other guys their idea, but like they just pitched the concept to him, and he's like, "Let's do it and let's run with it." And now he has $1 billion tech company that's a social media, and like we said, half of America loves him. If half of America joins that Twitter knockoff that he's created, that's like 160 million people that he'd have to be on his platform, and that just makes him even richer. So love him or hate him, the guy is an incredibly successful businessman.
Yeah, absolutely. So interesting stuff there. But I guess on the coattails of Trump's new tech startup, or I don't know how new it is, but his startup, that's something that we teased in the previous episode. That we're getting our beaks wet in the tech world. We're doing some preliminary research. We basically, between us, we found a potential gap in the real estate world where we think that, yeah, we're gonna take a little look into potentially doing a bit of a startup. It's still very infant stage. We're not going to go too much detail into it, but yeah, over the last week or two, we've really tried to open our eyes to what that world looks like, and it's pretty exciting. It's pretty cool. I mean, yes, we're definitely enjoying what we're doing, but there's a lot of inefficiencies for how the this industry runs. Whether it's finding house flippers or doing all this stuff. I mean, there's all these nice calculators and spreadsheets out there, but there's definitely a way for things to be done better. So that's something that we've been doing some research in our spare time, and yeah, it's been interesting. We both read probably 2-3 books in the last week. Just that the old 2 times speed on Audible, and just trying to get some of this knowledge and see what that's all about. So yeah, Manny, what's some of your initial thoughts on tech startups?
Man, this is cool stuff. Honestly, this reminds me of like when we just got into real estate. Do you remember how excited we were listening to podcasts and reading all the books? And look where it's brought us, 4 years later, buying, 100 plus units in a different country. So it's like, it's exciting for me to think about where we could be following this little train here in the next few years. And the upside is something that I find very, very exciting about the tech startup world. I'm sure everyone's aware, like these startups, if they go well, they can be incredibly lucrative. But outside of just like the monetary aspect of it all, which is a big part of it, of course, but it's just like finding a problem in your niche and solving it for hundreds, thousands, hundreds of thousands, or maybe even millions of people. So that's what we're trying to do. In real estate is where we're going to start because that's kind of our current market. But like, there's opportunities to expand. I'm a nurse. Healthcare is, if you live in Canada, our system's terrible. Like imagine if we were able to create some sort of tech thing that has to do with AI that makes our whole healthcare system run more efficiently. That would not only make our lives and the lives of millions of people better, but then would we become quite wealthy through it. And also we get to work on a passion project alongside of our other US real estate stuff. So I think it's just fun. It's just learning and acquiring knowledge is always, I'm just like doing it. And I felt like with the real estate stuff, I wasn't stagnant, but like I'm obviously always learning this US stuff. There's always these little things that we're learning through this 97 unit deal. We've learned a lot, but like there's nothing major big about real estate that I'm learning that's super new. Right now, this tech startup stuff, this is totally different. This is very different from real estate. Starting a business from scratch that doesn't exist yet, or finding another business that you think you can create something that's way better and more efficient and can help people and market it better. I found that exciting. And like you said, like I hadn't read a full book in a few months. I'm ashamed to say I used to be a big reader, but then we just banging out books every day. It's like, this is sick. And YouTube and podcasts. I used to be such an avid listener of podcasts. I would listen to a podcast a day. Bigger Pockets, the Master Keys, all these guys, Rise, Andrew Hines. I haven't been listening to many podcasts over the last few months, just because like they're talking about, it's like, how many podcasts can we listen to, Ian, about the Burr? I've heard 20,000 hours worth of podcasts about various real estate topics. So it's been cool to be able to listen to things about something that's different in the finance world and learn about how other billionaires, like we just read a book, it's called Zero to One by Peter Thiel. It's awesome book. Peter Thiel's a multi-billionaire. He's one of the guys that co-founded PayPal. He got into some early businesses as well that are multi-billion dollar businesses. So learning from titans like that, I've been enjoying, and just other people in that world. I'm fired up, to be honest with you. Like sometimes I'm up here 11, 12 at night having conversations with ChatGPT about how to how to blow this thing up even faster. I was telling Ian earlier, I'm trying to learn how to code, because like one of my biggest problems here is like me and Ian are having these great ideas, but now we're reliant on somebody else to create it for us. So I'm like, which is fine. Obviously, like we can have another co-founder. It's not the end of the world. But I'm like, if I could just create it for us, that kind of takes out one other person. But man, I don't know if any of you guys tried coding. It's tough, man. It's like, it's a different language. I'm trying to learn Spanish, from scratch when I don't know anything. So we'll see. I'll go down this rabbit hole. Maybe I'm being unrealistic. Maybe I don't need to do it, but who knows? It's another fun thing to do. But I mean, I'm enjoying it a lot. I think this is great.
Yeah, no, 100%. And just like, it's like any business. Like, there's probably more tech startups out there that fail than, there are people starting construction companies or whatever it is. So, and there can be a lot more at stake, but it could be pretty simple. If you have a really good idea and you're able to go in and prove to people that, hey, this is a good idea, it's it's not unlike real estate where you find a good deal and then you go fundraise for it. Like, the better the deal, the easier it is to raise the ideas. Here, the better the idea, the easier it is to raise money for it. So yeah, again, we're there, like infant stages. We think we do have a good idea, and we're just gonna tug at that sweater string for a little bit, see where it gets us. Could be nothing, or it could be completely game changing for us. So I know it's like an application that I would use pretty much every day. So from just that alone, if I'm like, man, if this makes my life easier, I'm sure this could make hundreds, thousands of people's lives easier. And it's something that you could just continuously build on. So it's again something that we're very much so enjoying, but it's something that yeah, it's getting us fired up.
And one thing too that's cool about just like raising capital for these types of projects, it's not like raising capital for a real estate deal. It's quite different, because a real estate transaction, there's a certain IRR that you're trying to hit, a certain ROI, of course. But like the people that invest into a real estate deal are different from a person that's going to invest into a tech startup. The people that invest in tech startups, they're looking for those unicorn deals that'll become, a ridiculous amount of money. I have a friend that works at a VC firm out of Dartmouth, and he was telling me they like to invest in stuff that there might be a 10% chance of it being successful, but then that 10% chance will make them like billions. They want to lose. I'm going to give him a call. This is like, I had the one time I actually met this guy in person, it was at a wedding, and he was absolutely loaded, and I was sober. So he was just telling me all these things. I'll reach out to him again, but pretty much the gist that I got is like they have no problem losing money, like, because they're taking massive risks on these startups, because they know they'll hit on that one. that Facebook, that Google, that will make all those other previous investments, that they lost money on. It doesn't mean anything. You just hit jackpot on this one crazy startup. It's like who OpenAI or something. That's a different company. But anyone, like, can you imagine getting into Apple or Microsoft or whatever when Jobs or Bill Gates was just starting? These VC firms, they're looking for that. So like if we can come up with something that we can clearly show will have like a multi-billion-dollar valuation for whatever reason, and it's going to disrupt an industry, they'll throw money at you, man. And that's another thing too. Like the book that we read, this one book, it's called the SaaS Playbook. I forget the author's name, but you don't need to raise money. Like you can bootstrap it yourself. It's like, when I say bootstrap it, it's just like using your own cash, trying to just keep everything lean and mean the whole time, and then raise funds if you really need it. I talked about this on the last podcast, but my buddy Swami, he's going to be a guest here. I'm trying to get him on here soon, man. But he's about to launch something real cool that's going to help the healthcare system in Nova Scotia. They tried to bootstrap it early on for like the first year, I'd say. And the only reason they started taking on VC money was because they started having competitors creep up behind them that had VC backing. So it's like they were doing everything slowly using their own cash, and they would have got there eventually, but then there was somebody behind them that was creating something very similar that might be better than theirs. And they had a lot of money backing them. So like, okay, now they had to speed up. So they had to take cash. So there's just so many different ways we could go about it. And it's exciting. It's like raising money, buying a deal, with OPM or just using your own cash. Like there's no right or wrong answer. It's just whichever way makes sense for you at the time. Anyways, I could talk about this all day, man.
Yeah.
It's just so cool stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, and same here. It's like just like a new fun little passion that we're not spending crazy amounts of time on this, but it's like it's just that fun project. It gets you excited. It's even in our week and a half that we've been peering into this. It's like it's already been filled with ups and downs, and like you'll
Yeah.
have times when you're really excited. You'll have times when you got to come back to earth a little bit, and then it's just like yeah, it's just a new puzzle to keep the brain going, I guess. So it's like at night, I'll just like think of new features or new ways to do it. Like it's like, oh, we could market it this way. We could do this stuff. So it's like just a fun way for now, just to keep ourselves entertained and have something on the back burner to be putting some more research into. So again, I've enjoyed it. Not burnt out after a week and a half, I'm happy to say. So yeah, so we'll keep you guys updated and let you know what's going on there. But yeah, for the sake of time, as always, we want to keep you guys up to date with what's going on with our 97 unit purchase down in Cleveland. So as most of you know, we are deep in our due diligence phase. We've got about 2.5 more weeks to confirm that we'd like to move forward with the deal. We've had a number of engineers go through the building earlier this week. We've gotten some preliminary reports back, and it's not been anything too crazy. It's like you guys need to add GFI plugs to the moisture rich areas. So you got to add a GFI plug next to the kitchen sink and in the bathroom. It's like, well, yeah, we knew that. It's also adding carbon monoxide detectors to a lot of the units, and it's like, yeah, we probably could have sensed that was something we were going to have to do. And then the other one was, yeah, you guys are going to have to upgrade your old fuse panels in all the units to like retrofit those to a better system. It's like, yeah, no surprise there. We knew that was going to happen. So that was of one of the engineer reports. And then we will have the one that we customized to look at some of the structure a little bit more. So that'll be coming up. Then I found something, had an interesting meeting earlier in this week, and it was meeting with our lending team. So we're moving forward with a lender called BWE is our broker, and then our actual lender's name is Bancor. And it was like no other lending meeting I'd ever been part of. There was, I think, 2 lawyers per side. So the lender had lawyers, we had our lawyers. We had our brokers on there. We had an accountant on there, and it honestly felt like a small claims hearing. Like it was all chock full of legal jargon. It was about corporate structure here. It was just putting everything under a microscope to make sure everything made sense, as well as checking in on the due diligence, as well as checking in on just everything that was going on with the deal. So I was like, man, this seems like a little bit of overkill for, it's like a $4 million purchase, which is, nothing to scoff at. But it was like, do we really need this many people to make sure the due diligence period is going well? So I get a little bit of a kick out of that. But yeah, they're thorough is what the end point is. It's like that we're not leaving any stone unturned from any aspect of this. So yeah, that was pretty intense, but pretty cool. Yeah, again, just learning how all these bigger deals look at it. So Bancor, we're actually at the low end of their funding bracket. So we're looking in the ballpark of getting couple million, whereas most of their deal or a lot of their deals go up all the way to 50 to 100 million. So they're just taking the way that they would approach like a $50 million transaction and applying it to us. That's just how they do things. So we're getting the treatment as if we're closing on a $50 million deal. So it's cool even just getting the experience of what that kind of looks like, and just have that much more experience and understanding of how that process works. So that's been pretty cool. Manny, what else have we been up to?
Man, I think you hit most of it there. All I can say is like it's a relief to kind of get to the end of like all the legal stuff. It's been quite the journey. Like when did we start talking about this deal? It's been over a month, and it's like just now are we able to like go raise money, give people the term sheet, show them the OM. It just goes to show like these big deals. We said it early. It takes time. It's not a quick process by any means, and I'm sure in the future, like we'll take our learnings from this one, and hopefully we can kind of streamline some things and have our core set up a little quicker, all that stuff. But for the first one, it took some time, but we're now on the back end of it for sure, and we're ready to raise cash. And friends and family, accredited investors, reach out to Ian and I, and we can show you the OM, and we can kind of go from there. This is a sweet deal. 97 units, big sexy building. We're gonna damn near double its value in the life of the deal. Whatever we do with this, there's so many options too. Like we can get into it. There's many different exit plans. It's a very cool building. It's like I think we said it from early on, Ian. It's like that type of building that you envision to kind of own when you think about owning a multifamily asset. Like this is it. This is a cool one, and it's the first of many. So yeah, we're grateful for you guys for listening to us talk about. There hasn't been any major updates in weeks, but like it's just listening to like the small little things that happen on a weekly basis. But like these legal things, they take time, and now we're on the back end of it. And yeah, we're thankful for the team. And like one thing that's too is funny when you have like a team that's kind of a little bigger than just one or two people. Just like signing documents, it takes time. You know what I mean? You have to, 4 or 5 people got to sign off on these things, and like if someone's busy, it doesn't get signed off, and then like we can't go to the next step till it's signed off. So, and again, this is life. We all get busy, so it's like just little things you need to kind of take into account. And now we'll know for the next deal. It's like, okay, we need to be more efficient, and like even how we just shifted to the DocuSign stuff. Ian, before it's like one person would have to sign and then download and then send it to the next one. It's like this DocuSign's so much easier. So we learned our lesson. We learned our lesson for this one, and now moving forward, we'll be more efficient with that. But no, we're happy guys. So we're ready to move forward, and yeah, reach out if you have any questions about the deal, and we will definitely be talking more about it moving forward.
Yeah. So for all of you that are listening now, it's just, yeah, crazy to think we're talking about a boring asset class. We're buying in a boring city. We're doing a boring transaction, but it's very, obviously we find it interesting. Obviously you find it as interesting if you're listening to this. So yeah, there's some glory moments with it, but we're in the trenches in the dog days right now, so it's yeah, super fun for us. But yeah, again, we appreciate everyone that's listening. We appreciate, again, if you guys could share this with anyone that wants to just get a little bit of peek behind the curtains of how we're growing our business. We definitely encourage you guys to share. And I think that's all we're going to have for you guys today. Tune in next week. I think we're hoping to have a guest on for you guys to learn a bit about some other businesses. So, yeah, again, please like, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. Any real estate needs here in Nova Scotia, I got you covered. Happy to chat, even if you are just getting started, if you are just looking to scale up or anything like that. We're just a phone call away. So thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you next week.